Hello and good morning friends, welcome to the CEC-UGC live lecture. Dear friends, with third lecture on new media, today we would be talking on open resources in journalism, and for this very discussion we have once again with us in our studios Dr. Anubhuti Yadav. Dr. Anubhuti Yadav is a head of department of new media, Indian Institute of Mass Communication. Dear friends, we believe that her immense experience would definitely help us out in knowing this topic in detail, that is open resources in journalism. So without wasting any time, I would like to welcome our guest, Dr. Anubhuti Yadav. Dr. Yadav, welcome to the InterSet lecture.
Thank you very much. Good morning everyone. Today we'll be talking about open resources in journalism, and especially like when we are talking about open resources in journalism, we'll be focusing more on online journalism. And as we know that in online journalism we require number of resources, because the medium offers us that platform wherein we can have stories in the form of text, we can have stories in the form of audio, we can have stories in the form of video, infographics. So that platform offers us this opportunity wherein we can use all these multiple media formats, but it becomes very difficult to create all these resources, and for this we have to depend upon the resources which are already available on the web. But when I'm saying that the resources which are already available on the web, there are a number of resources which are available on the web, but they are under copyright, and we cannot use them, and if we have to use them we have to ask for the permission from the copyright holder. But then there are a number of resources. For example, we have open resources, and those are the resources which we can use in our stories. Those resources can be used as backgrounders, they can be embedded in our stories. There are a number of videos which are released under as a open resource, and those resources can be embedded into our stories when we are working in the field of online journalism. So today we'll be talking about open resources only. When we are talking about journalism, we know that we require number of resources, and these number of resources and the kind of resources are, for example, the text, video, audio, infographics, data sets. So these are the resources which we require when we work on any news story. But in open resources, what exactly is open? That is something which we need to understand, because resources are something which we every day we play with, but here the concept of open resources. So I think we need to understand the open part of the open resource. So the open means a resource that is openly available for the journalist to use without any accompanying need to pay royalty fees or license fees, which means that if you find any resource, and if that resource is an open resource, you can always take that particular resource. You do not have to pay any license fees for that, you do not have to pay any royalty fees for that, and you can easily use that particular thing in your news story. Also, when we are saying open resources, open also means that the resource that is released under a license that facilitates reuse and potentially adaptation without first requesting permission from the copyright holder. Now this is the most important thing, because most of the time when we are using resources, ideally when we are using those resources, we need to call the copyright holder and ask for the permission before you use it. But if those resources are open resources, we can easily use it without even asking for the permission from the copyright holder. So why do we need to have open resources in journalism? This is something which all of us, and especially like when we talk about the media industry, they are taking this concept for granted, and many experts in the industry also, they are not aware of this concept. But world over, there are leading newspapers and leading channels, they are working on this particular concept, and they are also promoting this concept of using open resources in journalism. So why we need to have it in journalism? One is that the news is more rapidly and widely disseminated. So when we are saying that the rapid dissemination of news, obviously we need to have some resources which are already available instead of creating anything from scratch. Second is it also allows innovative business models to emerge, which means that nowadays there are a lot of youngsters who are actually starting startups, and for them, if the open resources are available, and if they are working on in the content area, if they are working as a news aggregators, and they are setting up a website, it becomes easy for them to populate their website with the content if they are aware of the concept of open resources. Also, for journalism students, the digital age requires more than hands-on reporting, writing, and publication of stories. Students must also embrace the capabilities of the internet for the virtual collaboration, viral dissemination, and feedback loops that inform and deepen original stories. All of these web-based opportunities depend on the knowledge and the proactive application of open content licensing such as Creative Commons. So when I'm saying open resources here, the focus would be more on what makes a resource an open resource, and when we'll be discussing about this, we'll be talking about a license which is called Creative Commons that actually creates a resource into an open resource. Now, there are certain examples of open resources in journalism. If we talk about our country, India, we have very few examples to quote, wherein the news organizations, media organizations, they are using open resources or they are releasing content under open resource. But if we look at, the world media, and if you look at the international media, there are certain news organizations who have actually started with this particular concept, and they are using open resources, and they are also releasing their product under Creative Commons. So the first example is of ProPublica. Now this is the website which is for the investigative journalism, and in this website, basically the mission of this particular website is to expose abuses of power and betrayals of public trust by government, businesses and other institutions, using the moral force of investigative journalism to spur reform through the sustained spotlighting of wrongdoing. Now, each story that is published is distributed in a manner designed to maximize its impact. Many of their deep dive stories are offered exclusively to the traditional media organization, and they have around 104 publishing partners, and they're releasing their stories under Creative Commons. And very interestingly, if you go to the homepage of this particular website, you would find this particular caption in the footer, which is called "Steal Our Stories," and this is something which is very, very interesting, because nowhere you would see that the websites or the news organizations themselves are saying that "steal our stories," but if they're mentioning and if they're saying "steal our stories," they have certain rules for that, and they said that you can do that as long as you follow certain rules, and these are the rules they are talking about. They are saying that you cannot edit our material except to the reflective relative changes in time, location and editorial style. If you are republishing online, you have to link to us and to include all of the links from our story. You can't sell our material separately or syndicate it. It's okay to put our stories on pages with ad, but not ads specifically sold against our stories. And you cannot republish our material wholesale. So in a way, they are saying that yes, the material which is available on this particular website is available for reuse. You can use that, but then they have their policy. They have certain rules and regulation, and if someone is taking stuff from there, they have to follow that. As far as the photographs are concerned in these websites, so they are very clear in this. They are saying that you cannot republish or take our photographs. And then another very important thing which they are saying is that if you're taking any content from our website, you just have to give credit to us, which means that if any organization takes their story, so in the byline they have to mention the name of the original author and the name of the organization or ProPublica. So this is how they are dealing with this, and this is a very interesting example wherein a news organization, they are actually using open resources, and they are releasing their content as an open resource so that it can be used by other news organization. And this basically leads to the wider dissemination of information and also the rapid dissemination of information. Now the second example is of Huffington Post, and in Huffington Post also there is this Huffington Post Investigative Fund. It's a professional newsroom that produces watchdog journalism and is staffed by reporters and editors from a variety of news organizations such as the Washington Post, Business Week, Wall Street Journal, and it's a destination site with all the news published under a Creative Commons license. And they're using CC by ND. We'll be talking about what exactly CC by ND means when we'll talk about the different Creative Commons licenses. So even the Huffington Post, they are releasing a lot of their content as a open resource. Then Ground Report, this is a very interesting website. Here what they're doing is that they are actually involving community also in the creation of news, and in this the community actually sponsor certain journalists and they raise funds for them and they tell them to cover up one particular story. Many a times it happens that when we talk about the mainstream media, there are certain stories which are neglected, they are not covered. So but the community feels that these are the stories which also needs to be covered. So they raise money, they collect funds, they identify a journalist who is expert in that particular field, and then they give money to that particular expert, and then that reporter and journalist cover that particular story, conducts his or her own research, and that's how the stories are created on this particular platform. Or any one of us, if we really want to contribute to it, and if you want to send an article, write an article, we can always write an article on the Ground Report. In this, there are around 5,000 contributors, and they have tie-up with the different news organizations also. So it's not only that you'll find their news on their platform, but at the same time you would see that even the mainstream media and the very popular newspapers and television channels, they also take their stuff from the website. There is this one very interesting case study when it comes to and the Ground Report. Here what happens that the people they are sponsoring these stories, and many a times it has happened that when they sponsored that particular story, the story became so famous that it was taken by the mainstream media also. And one such example is there in the Spotters also. Spotters also is there's another platform. This is also a community funded platform, and in this there's this one very interesting case study. There was this journalist, the name of the journalist was Lindsay Horshaw, and the journalist was identified by the community and to work on a one particular area, and especially it was regarding the pollution in the Pacific Ocean. They raised money and they gave that particular money to this journalist, and when this news story appeared in on this particular website, even the New York Times felt that this is a very nice story, and they asked them to give that particular story to them, and they bought that story. And when they bought that story, so some of the money was given to the people and those who raised fund, because the story was actually done using their money. Some of the money was given to that journalist, and some money was kept by the Spotters. So now this particular story is not an open resource because they have bought this story, and now it comes as a copyright material under the New York Times. So these are the new ways in which the journalism is happening nowadays. There are alternate ways of creating content. People are involved in this process. Journalists they do not have to associated with one particular organization. If they really want to work, they can work independently also. They know that there is a community supporting them. So these are the new ways of journalism which are happening, and this is also promoting the open culture, which means that whatever we are creating using public money, that is also ideally should be released under open domain. So Al Jazeera is another platform. We've seen a lot of Al Jazeera videos, and especially related to the war videos. And because these people have access to those locations, for them it's very easy to get that particular footage. So they're also releasing their content under Creative Commons. And we have seen that many a times, when we see the war coverage on television channels, we see the Al Jazeera logo also, and that's the beauty of the open resources. So it's not that you're only promoting the content or disseminating the content or distributing the content, but at the same time, if you're releasing your content under open resources, you're promoting your own product also, you're promoting your own channel also, you're promoting your own brand also. So it's a win-win situation for the news organization, because they are into news, they are into the development of content, so their first responsibility is that there should be a wider dissemination of information, but at the same time they would like their brand to grow, and instead of promoting it through the marketing activities and advertising activities, what they're doing is that they're releasing their content under open resource. Other organizations, they are using it, but when they're using it, they're giving credit to that. So if you see a news related to any war, maybe like in Gaza or anywhere, so you'll watching that particular news on CNN or NDTV, but at the same time you'll see the Al Jazeera logo also. So it's a very nice way of promoting the one particular brand also. And Wikinews is another platform. We all know that the wiki is basically like when the people are involved in the content creation. So this is also a very nice platform wherein people come and they create stuff, and all the wiki stuff is actually released as an open resource. So the journalists, they can pick up stuff from here. But since that is this particular platform involves a lot of people, and people can come and write anything in this particular platform, so one has to be a little cautious on while selecting content from this particular platform or any wiki platform. Then another case study is of ABC. This is also, in ABC also you'll see that a lot of stuff has been released as an open resource under Creative Commons. And this is something which they have done when they turned 80 years old. They have, a lot of footage, and at that point of time they decided that there are, 80 days, which actually changed the lives, and they, release the content related to those 80 days, which means the 80 major events that actually changed the world as a open resource. And now these resources are available on their website. They are free to use. So those who are working in the field of journalism, those who are working in the field of education, they can always pick up those particular resources and they can repurpose that. They can edit that if they want to. They can remix that. So there are a lot of things one can do with those resources which are already available, instead of every time creating something new. This is another example, and this was created by P. Sainath, renowned development journalist in India. This is called People Archives of Rural India. And this is a very interesting website, especially like if someone is interested in rural journalism, which means that if you want to cover a story or you want to write something related to villages or small cities, ideally we should go to these places if we have to cover a story. But many times, because of paucity of time, it becomes very difficult for us to travel to that particular place, and we require a number of resources. For example, we require a lot of images, and we require a lot of videos. So where do we get those videos from, or those images from? So this is one platform which has been created. Here you'll find a lot of images from the rural India. You'll find a lot of video footage also. You'll find a lot of articles also if you want to know like what's happening in the rural area. A lot of development stories, and it's not that you can only access story from this particular platform. So if you are visiting some particular village, and if you come across some beautiful photographs, something which you feel that it is worth sharing, you can click those photographs and you can share it on this particular platform. So this is another initiative. And if we talk about the open resources as an initiative in India, this is the only example we have right now, which is the People Archives of Rural India. Other than that, most of the stuff is a copyright material. So if you look at, the different newspapers, you look at, the different channels, all the stuff which is there, it's a copyright material, which means that, the copyright belongs to, one particular news organization. So how can journalists make use of CC? So one is that, while releasing their work online, they should consider releasing under CC license. We'll talk about the Creative Commons license also. So which means that, if you are working, you are creating a content, and not only journalists, as a teachers also, as a student of journalism also, if you're creating any content and if you are researching on a one particular area, and if you're putting so much of efforts, you're putting in so much of resources, so it's always better to share it with the world, because if you're doing something, it's always good that the people should build upon that particular work, rather than people are working in silos. We are conducting a research, and then you have another researcher coming after 2 years, they're conducting the research on the similar topic, and they're starting from the scratch. So instead of doing that, I think we should build upon each other's work, and that's how we can promote knowledge, and that's how we can create knowledge. Another way is, when we talk about journalists, you can find CC work on the net also. You can use, the resources which are released under Creative Commons in your own stories. And when I'm saying the Creative Commons, it could be your audio, it could be your video, it could be your images, it could be data sets. Nowadays there are, a lot of data available, open data available, which means that if you have to do a story, you don't have to do research. There's a lot of data which is already available. You can go to data.gov website, and each and every country, not each and every country, most of the countries, they have, open data websites wherein, they have uploaded data from the different ministries and from the different departments. So if you want to get into, investigative journalism, if you want to get into database journalism, so that's the very nice way of making use of open data. You can use that, and you can create stories. You can dig into that particular data. You can create stories out of it. So now coming on to Creative Commons, as I said that Creative Commons is a very important, and especially it's a legal tool when we talk about the open resources, and what makes a resource is a open resource is a Creative Commons license. Now this is a legal tool that many media outlets take for granted. And as I said that if you go and see the websites of any of the news channels or the newspaper, you won't see this logo there. You will only see the copyright logo there, and that's why, because the people, they don't understand the value of the Creative Commons and the open resources. And this particular license came in 2002, and this license came when because there is always a need to share the creative work, which means that the creative work is there, and there is a need to share that. But many a times we are not in position to share that, because there is a copyright holder, and that person has a copyright over that particular media product or a creative product, and you are not in a position to do that. So basically, like when we want to share creative products, at that point of time they said that we need to have some mechanism wherein easily we can share this particular those particular creative resources. Also, when we talk about the Creative Commons, it doesn't mean that anybody can do anything with your resource. It means that you are actually giving away certain rights, but you are holding certain rights with you also. So it depends upon what kind of license you are giving to your product, what kind of license you are giving to your media product or resources, and that makes your license how open that particular resource is. So this is another very important thing. Now if we look at the countries, there are a number of countries who had made the national commitment to open education. And as I said that when you're talking about the open resources, mostly this concept is actually discussed when it comes to education, and these are the countries who had made the commitment to open education, and India is one of the country. And in India, like, we have the policy also, and which says that any content which is created using public fund has to be released as a open resource, but there are number of websites, there are number of portals. For example, the PG Pathshala is there, National Repository of Open Education Resources is there, CEC is there, but they choose their license themselves. So if we are saying that it has to be released under Creative Commons, but under Creative Commons what sort of license needs to be used, that is something that has to be decided by one particular organization. So where the CC license are published, you can see from this graph, because the most of the work is coming from North America, then the Europe, and then 16% from the Asia Pacific, 10% from Latin America, and 1% from Africa, and then the Arab world. A number of Creative Commons product, which means if I'm saying that there are a lot of resources available, so this is the number of resources which are available, 882 million resources, and I'm talking about the 2014 data, and you can very well imagine in another 2 years how many resources might have been added to this number of resources. Then there are number of licenses. We'll be talking about these licenses also, but for now we've understood what the open resources are, what makes a resource an open resource, what are the various case studies related to the open resources, and why journalists should be using open resources, how they should use it. They should also create resources and release it under Creative Commons and make it an open resource. At the same time, they should also access resources which are available on the web, and they should be in a position to know how to identify the resources which are open resources. So we'll be talking about this in detail in our next lecture. For now, that's for all. Thank you very much. We'll be talking about the Creative Commons licenses, and when we talk about Creative Commons, in Creative Commons we have the 6 different licenses, and as we discussed before, when we're talking about the Creative Commons, this is basically you are actually giving away certain rights, but you're also holding certain rights to yourself. So it's not that if you have released your content under Creative Commons, that means that anybody can do anything with your resource. So there are certain things which they can do with your resource, but you can limit that particular thing based on what kind of license you're giving to your product. So in Creative Commons, as I said, that there are 6 licenses. The first license is attribution CC BY. Now this is the most open license we have in Creative Commons, which means that if you have created a one particular product, video, image, infographic, whatever, and if you are uploading that on web, if it is a video, if on YouTube, or if it is an audio, if you're uploading that on a SoundCloud, then what you are saying is, by using this particular license, that is CC BY, that the people can do anything with that resource, which means they can use that resource, they can reuse that resource, they can remix that resource, they can distribute that resource. So they can do anything with that resource as long as they give credit to the original author. So this is what CC BY says, and this is the most open license, which means that you can do anything with the resource, even you can use it commercially. So this is the most open license we have in the Creative Commons. Second license is attribution share alike. This license says that you can do anything with that particular resource. You want to use it, reuse it, remix it, distribute it, do whatever you want to do. You want to use it for the commercial purpose, you can do that also. But if you're creating a new resource out of it, then when you're giving license to the new resource after remixing or editing or whatever, then you should give the same license to that particular resource, which means this license lets other remix, tweak, build upon your work, even for the commercial purposes, as long as they give credit and license their new creations under the identical terms. All new work based on yours will carry the same license, so any derivatives will also allow commercial use. This is the license used by Wikipedia also. They are using this particular license. So if you take any stuff from the Wikipedia and if you repurpose that, if you tweak that, if you edit that a little bit, and if you create a new resource out of it, then you also have to share that particular resource with the same license, that is CC by SA. So SA here stands for the share alike. Attribution no derivatives, that's another license which is CC by ND, and this license also says that you can use that particular resource and you can use it for the commercial purpose also, but you cannot make any changes in this particular resource. Right? So which means I have created something which I feel that that's a very nice product. I've created a video, I've created an audio file, and I don't want people to play with that, but I want them to use my product. So what I say that instead of giving it CC by or CC by SA, wherein I'm giving this opportunity to other people to edit that particular material, instead of doing that, I'm saying that I'm releasing my content, my resource under CC by ND, which means that you cannot make any derivation of my product. It has to be used as it is, the way I have uploaded that on the web. Attribution non-commercial, CC by NC. This says that you can do anything with that resource. You want to remix it, you want to edit it, but when you are, but you cannot use it for the commercial purpose, right? And there are a number of issues, which means that there are a number of organizations who put in a lot of money, resources in creating the certain products, and if we release it under CC by or CC by SA, so in a way we are saying is that we have created our content, but we are also allowing other people to create content based on the material which we have created, and then they can use it for the commercial purpose also. So to avoid that particular thing, this is another license which says CC by NC, which means that you cannot use it for the commercial purpose. Then attribution non-commercial share alike, CC by NC SA. SA, as we have just discussed, that means the share alikes. So the first license which we discussed was the CC by SA, wherein we were saying that they can do anything with that resource, but they have to release it under the same license. So at that point of time, CC by SA also said that this particular product can be used for the commercial purpose also, right? But here that product cannot be used for the commercial purpose. So if I'm creating any product and if someone else is building upon that product, so I'm saying that yes, when I'm giving NC, that is the non-commercial, I'm telling the other person also that if you are releasing it further, you have to give the same license, that is the non-commercial NC. So you have to give the same license NC SA. Attribution non-commercial, this is the closest license which we have, which means the CC by NC ND, which means that you cannot use it for the commercial purpose, as well as you cannot make any changes in this particular product. So this is the most restrictive of the 6 licenses which we had under Creative Commons, and this is basically used when we do not want people to use it for the commercial purpose, we do not want people to make any changes in that particular product, and that's why we at that point of time we use this particular license. This is the CC0, which means all rights reserved. This enables scientists, educators, artists, and other creators and owners of copyright or database protected content to place them as completely as possible in the public domain, so that others may freely build upon, enhance, and reuse the work for any purposes without restriction under copyright or database law. In contrast to CC's licenses that allow copyright holders to choose from range of permissions while retaining their copyright. So which means that CC0 means in the public domain, and no copyright, you don't have to take any permission to use that particular product. Now this is what the Creative Commons licenses are, and if you are listening about the Creative Commons licenses for the first time, it's a little difficult topic, it's a little difficult subject to understand what these different licenses say, and you have to spend little more time in understanding this particular concept. So if this lecture is available there on the YouTube, you can always listen to this again. Other than that, there is the Creative Commons website also, and this is the Creative Commons website, creativecommons.org, and in this also you'll be able to know about the different Creative Commons licenses. At the same time, as a researcher, if you want to locate the Creative Commons resources, so which is the place wherein you should go to. So this is like a search engine. Usually we go to Google and try and search the different media products, but in this, if you come to this particular search engine, which means that the Creative Commons search engine, and if you enter your search query, you'll get the products, media products which are released under Creative Commons. So here the product which will be retrieved will be from the Flickr, from Jamendo, from YouTube, from Pixpay, from CC Mixter, even from the Google also. So if you're looking for the Creative Commons product, so that's a website wherein you should go and you can search for the content. Now we'll come on to the different resources. As I said that as a journalist we require number of resources, and especially as an online journalist we require number of resources. So how do we find these resources? So first thing is the audio resources. If we have to find audio resources, we are making a program, we need to have a soundtrack. So instead of using any soundtrack which is available, or instead of taking it from somewhere which could be a copyright material, and there are number of instances wherein we take the soundtrack which is a copyright material and we try and upload that on the YouTube, and the YouTube doesn't take that particular product and doesn't publish that particular product, and it tells very clearly that we are using the copyright soundtrack. So to avoid such situation, what we can do is, these are the number of websites which we can explore as far as the audio resources are concerned. CC Mixter is one website. This has lot of audio, and it not only you can access audio files through this particular platform, you can also upload the audio files also here. So if you have composed something, you want to share it with the world, you don't have that much of time to complete the entire thing, you want someone to build upon that particular resource or that particular sound which you have created, so you can upload that. So that's the best platform wherein you can access resources, especially like the audio resources which are released under Creative Commons. Another platform is Jamendo. Here also, like, you can discover a lot of audio, and in this, I mean, it's a combination. You can find the free resources also, but at the same time you can find the paid resources also. So it's up to you. If you are willing to pay, then you pay for that, you buy that particular thing, and then you use it in your work. But if you are looking for something which is freely available, so those resources are also available in this. Another is Free Music Archive. This is also another platform if you are looking for the music for the videos, so you can have the different resources using this particular platform. freesound.org. In this also there are number of soundtracks available. You can also contribute to it. You can also conduct workshop with the people, create soundtracks and upload that on this particular portal also. You can use it for your work also. So this is the free sound and it is available on the freesound.org. So these were all the audio resources. Now coming on to the image resources, Dreamstime is one. When we work for the the newspaper or magazines, we require a lot of images, and many a times when we look at our repository, we don't find the relevant content there. So in that case, what we can do is we can go to all these portals, we can go to all these websites, and we can pick up images from there. And since these images are freely available, there won't be any copyright issue. You can easily, without any issue, use it in your work. Free Images is another platform. Open Photo is another platform. You can browse it by the different categories. If you want to have a pictures on maybe environment, if you want to have a picture on people, organizations, institution. So there are number of categories which are available here, and all these photos, and the open says that it's an open resource. So these are all open resources which you can use. Free Media Go is another platform, and there also you can get the photos, you can find the different textures also, you can find the digital backgrounds also. So this is not only for the journalist. Obviously, this lecture is for the journalist, open resources in the field of journalism, but these resources can be used by anyone, the people who are there in the field of production, the people who are there in the field of education, because even in the education we need to develop a lot of content. We are writing our research projects and all. For that we require images. So instead of getting into any problem by using any copyright material, we can always explore these platforms and pick up something which will not land us into any trouble. StockVault is another platform when we talk about the images. Then Internet Archive, this is a very nice platform, and wherein you'll get all kind of content. You'll get the video also, you'll get the text also, audio also, different softwares are also available. And there is very interesting thing in this particular website. If you can see here, this is the Wayback Machine. Wayback Machine is basically, if you want to find out, especially in the field of journalism, it happens that you want to know that maybe 5 years back how the homepage of one particular news channel or the news portal looked like. So what you can do is that in this you can type the name of that particular website, you can browse history, which means it will give you a calendar, and you can go to any date if you want to have the look of the homepage of any of the website. So you can go to that particular date and you can have a look how the website looked like on that particular day. So this is very important for the journalist also, if they want to know what all story was covered in the past on that particular day. It is also good for the researchers also, because there are a lot of people who are into research, and especially when we talk about the online, this is the evolving medium, and there's a lot of research is happening, and we would like to know how a one particular news organization, they are carrying a different kind of news in their website. So this is the tool which you can use if you want to conduct a research related to this. So this is called a Wayback Machine, so which allows you to go to the pages, and they have archived number of web pages of the different websites. So now coming on to the video resources. Wikimedia Commons is one. Here, whatever the media is available, video is available, it is available free of cost, and obviously they are released under Creative Commons, so no copyright. You do not have to ask the copyright holder for the permission. Second is we all go to YouTube and we all watch a lot of programs and videos on YouTube, but somewhere we miss this fact that even the YouTube offers a lot of content which is released under Creative Commons. So if you look at this big window, and there are these small windows, and above that you have this search box, search Creative Commons videos. In this, what you can do is you can search a lot of Creative Commons videos, and you can use those Creative Commons videos for your product. Also, when you are uploading any video on YouTube, you can also give license. One is that there is a YouTube standard license, and another one is there are number of other the Creative Commons license, whatever you want to give to your video. Then the world clips are there. This is stock video. Here also, you'll get a lot of videos which are available free of cost. This is something which has been created by the journalism students, and this is basically an inspiration for all of us, those who are in the field of education. And I felt that I should be sharing it with you, when we are talking about open resources in journalism. So it's not only the concept, there are number of people who have actually used it, and practically they are following this. And this is the news website which is created by the students. And we feel that when the students, they are doing a course in journalism and mass communication, they come out with very good media products, be it their lab journals, be it their audio programs or video programs. So this website is actually created by the students. This is actually funded by the night labs, and here whatever the content is available, that is available as a free content. And they also have a tie-up with the various the mainstream newspapers and the channels also. So they also pick up content from here and they place that content in the mainstream media, and it is only possible because this content is available as a free content. So basically this is what open resources are. The Creative Commons license is, and the Creative Commons license can do a lot, especially like in the field of journalism, because we are in the business of dissemination of information, and if we really want information to reach as many people as possible, we have to give this license to our products, or maybe like our online portal, or the whatever resources which we are using. Thank you very much.
With this note, thank you, ma'am. Thank you so very much for giving us a very, very precious session once again. And we would say that keep watching us and keep giving your feedback. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you once again.